after the war. People have just returned home from the IDP camps, and all livelihood resources have been destroyed or they have been stolen. So everybody is more or less poor and impoverished. This outcry of marginalization which I'm talking about is sustained by a number of forces. We know there's one of them are the politicians. Then you have the academics through their research and writings. Then you have sergeants. And the people are again bombarded by all these communications and generalization. And the war the government tries to put in, which they call the peace, recovery, and development plan. Now, in terms of global trends, participatory development is the eighth thing at that time, and therefore the peace, recovery, and participatory model. And apparently, Food and Agriculture Organization is the one that is given the contract to popularize the people's livelihood projects within the village. So FAO uses the farmer field school model, which was first tried out in Indonesia, as a means of helping the people to work through small groups using participatory learning approach or participatory learning and action, so that they can support each other to use modern methods of the ground. It started by giving them seeds which they can multiply, so that this seed multiplied can then be redistributed to other areas, such that everybody in the end can be able to benefit from it. My objective, therefore, was to understand why, after 10 years of this implementation, poverty and the outcry of marginalization are not going to be. At the beginning, I wanted to use a survey so as that you can look at the correlation between perpetual development approaches and livelihood recovery. But I realized that that would put me into a lot of statistics which may not carry a lot of meaning. Yet the whole issue was about the outcry of people. So I decided that I'm going to interview people to understand their narrative, to understand their positions of this participatory approach, first of all, so that I can be able to get to understand the different perspectives, first of all of the people, then of the NGOs, then the state, such that in the end, having got the perspectives of all these categories, then it can be able to help me understand the institutionality of the whole process. Vis-a-vis the top-down. Now, the key concepts I'm playing about with therefore, the one I have mentioned is marginalization, by which I wanted to add to laws, policies, decisions, institutional behavior, and structures that serve to systematically exclude the entire communities of people from rights, opportunities, and resources that are available to most other people in society. Participatory development, as we know, is about involving the people groups such that they can own whatever projects are going on. Post-war recovery usually starts with the peace agreement or with a major development in the structure of war. And in this particular respect, we are talking about a complex of holistic post-war recovery. We are talking about a complex, holistic, and intermediary, interdisciplinary process encompasses all the sectors simultaneously. Right. Now, sustainable livelihoods is usually understood in terms of building capacities, assets, and activities to build means of living. Then the research methods, we have, like I've already mentioned, we have taken on more qualitative methods, and so far I've conducted research which is placed within the bigger PhD project. So it's article presenting, it is just an article that has been part of that whole project, the PhD. In terms of data analysis, we have used some mechanisms, sitting down research assistants on a weekly basis so that we can be able to understand the interviews and bring them together as part of the translation process. Now, the historical context of marginalization. The colonial masters, the colonials, are believed to have deliberately underdeveloped northern Uganda. And that is where the whole discourse of colonization begins. They looked at it in terms of self, and therefore it was somehow discriminated. Now, when it comes to find that they have it passes a lot of things. The food security involved and economic. So there wasn't really so when the white man comes, then are you interested in developing the economy? Instead, the reason his person is more productive. Now, in terms of land, we find that land is communally owned to the north. So have a layer under which the agriculture is shared by all people in the village, where they come together and live together in turns to help each other progress and solve their problem. So by the time came this scenario of marginalization had already started. And we are saying that the merely working was already a bad scheme. During the post-war, we find that the effects of the war are multi-layered and they affect almost all sectors, the social, the political, the economic, and the cultural. So the disruption of the social order in this case, if we were to take that one as an example, we find it upturned after removing the assets which were largely controlled by the men, it upturned the power relations within the household. Because since the men can no longer have assets, therefore they have nothing that gives them the leverage to have that power and control. They are not able to send their children to good schools, for instance. People are not able to marry, which disrupts the social order generally. And then you have this inability to give decent deaths, decent funerals to people's loved ones. So, in other words, what we're trying to say here, the war, the disruption of the war affected the entire social fabric. So the rationale for tenable livelihoods under that scenario is that the sustainable livelihood, which focuses on involving the local people and the grassroots, would be able to give the people back this power, such that they can be able to control their own welfare, they can be able to control their resources, they can be able to control their self-esteem, getting their self-esteem. Advocates of participation believe that the centrality of the poor is very, very crucial, like we've already explained. And among the chief proponents of these chambers, therefore, the centrality of the poor goes far beyond mere participation in needs assessment, for example. Because as we have seen, it encompasses all aspects and actually empowers the people to expand their livelihoods and be able to be masters of their destiny. Now this, the concept of people, trying to categorize throughout the article, I have linked something. Just put in. Okay, then you have these are the projects where people have been involved in some or another, say, developing their skills, but the implements get even afterwards somehow are substandard, and they have not involved in the purchasing of those substandard things. Therefore, they still feel they have not been involved sufficiently to charge. And then the final nail is the launching by Mark when he comes out publicly in 2010 to even threaten actually that the region would secede from the country unless the government took a more positive turn towards the northern region. So these are some of the voices that I saw. And then more of what demonstrated, try to demonstrate its commitment towards recovery by putting in a program. First, improved somehow the socio-economic aspects of the region